We got Brandon Scoop B. Robinson waiting patiently for us as we bring him in. Scoop, first of all, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for checking in on the Causeway Street podcast. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm just home cooking a little something to eat. Getting ready to watch the World Series.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, what you got there? You got something good?
Just a little something. Just some okra and tomatoes with some rice and some baked beans and putting a little steamed shrimp with it.
Hachi machi. There we go. All right.
Man, Brandon's got some company coming over.
Yep.
All right, we won't keep you on the phone for too long.
Next time we bring him in the studio, man, you got to bring some leftovers.
And this is for me, myself, and I. I just was on a road trip in Chicago
I
for a
see.
week.
All right. Well, hey, Brandon, we appreciate you taking the time. So Brandon was, like we said from the top of the episode, one of the first guys that broke this story about Kevin Durant and what he's going to do next season. Brandon, I'm just going to let you have the floor here. What are you hearing exactly about Kevin Durant, where his head is at in terms of 2019?
Well, the Los Angeles Lakers is the team, the destination, and the final, I don't want to say final attraction, but the coming attraction, if you will. It's La La Land, L.A., Hollywood. And got a tip from a source of mine in September that kind of broke the internet, and I found a lot of trolls and people and some of the thoughts that they had, but sticking with my source, and that's what I was told. The biggest thing is teaming with LeBron and winning some championships for the foreseeable future. I'm not just saying this because I'm on the phone with you guys and you're in the Boston area, but in the next year or two, you're going to see a rehash of the Celtics and Lakers rivalry, and why not have the best chess piece next to LeBron James in Los Angeles? And the Celtics aren't done fine-tuning. So you're going to see another Celtics-Lakers rivalry, and it starts this summer.
Yeah, you can sort of see that when LeBron went there, that was sort of destined to be. But Durant joining him, huh? I mean, how much you believe this source? You believe you riding and die with this source?
I ain't right with anybody but Jesus Christ himself, but this is what I'll tell you. The source that reached out to me gave me some tips on a few other things that became true. Told me a week before Luol Deng and the Lakers got the buyout that was going to happen. That same source told me that Kevin Durant was going to be doing a TV show with ESPN Plus as in production, with LeBron James being the special guest. That was news a week after this particular source told me. And this source has also been in the conversation or had conversations with the powers that be pertaining to the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I've reported on over the past month and some change. So this source has knowledge, has been right on about some things, and certain things are still developing. So
Okay.
I won't say I'm riding or dying with the source, but the source is in the know.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, Brandon, how much of this plays into what LeBron James did? Like, was this whole thing calculated? Because I can't help but think that there's no way LeBron James would go to L.A. without something like this promised. Do you think this is something that it was calculated a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, between him and Durant, something that they talked about before LeBron ultimately decided to leave Cleveland and head over to L.A.? Did he go to L.A. knowing that Kevin Durant down the road was going to be waiting for him after this season?
Well, this is what I'll say to you. I'll say to you that LeBron James going to the Los Angeles Lakers this offseason was definitely a balance of basketball and intellectual property and branding. The Cleveland Cavaliers had their window with LeBron, and LeBron went to the Western Conference to let the young boys, the Celtics and the 76ers, as well as the Wizards, figure things out. That being said, Los Angeles was a perfect move. You have young talent on that team. You have a Brandon Ingram who, despite having some good hands, has some hands on the basketball court as well. You have Kyle Kuzma who can play well. Lonzo Ball can play a role with that team as well as Rajon Rondo. But I will say to you that LeBron and everything that he does is calculated. If you listen to what he said during the NBA Finals last year's NBA Finals, or last season's NBA Finals, he said that the place where he goes will be about family and somewhere that the family is familiar with. He doesn't speak in code. He's not a rapper, but Los Angeles is a place where he has called home in addition to Northeast Ohio. And for Kevin Durant to come in, you figure free agency next season, what will they do with Draymond? What will they do with Klay Thompson? Boogie Cousins has some things to figure out. The Warriors are still the NBA champs. Boogie Cousins told me last month that the Golden State Warriors are like Play-Doh. You can mold them to whatever you want them to be. You'll see what happens this offseason with the Warriors. Will they make it to the championship? We'll see. But I think when you look at the Lakers, they're definitely not done building. And I think signing LeBron was the first step. I will tell you, that LeBron was so deep into signings with the Lakers this offseason, and Paul George and he did talk. I will tell you that Paul George did agree verbally to sign with the Lakers, and then in the 25th hour decided to go to OKC. LeBron was so deep into it, he couldn't back out of it. So, LeBron is definitely in L.A. for the next 2 to 3 years, 4-year contract, but, I don't think that they're done building. Kawhi Leonard in Toronto has, changed some things too, but they definitely need 1 or 2 more pieces, as you're seeing in the first half of the season, or the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, so that was my question. KD, so let's hypothetically say KD is the front runner to go to LA and join up with LeBron. Do they still make a play for Kawhi Leonard then? Because all signs point to Kawhi Leonard making a pit stop in Toronto and ending up in LA. How does this news and this affect Kawhi Leonard and his future?
I can't speak definitively about whether or not Kawhi Leonard will join the Los Angeles Lakers, because I think the NBA is a long season, and Toronto and he are pretty cozy early in the season. And you saw what happened with Paul George this offseason, where he ended up staying with OKC. What I can tell you is I think LeBron and KD are both in perfect situations, because LeBron leaves the Eastern Conference that was becoming increasingly more competitive. The Western Conference is too. But he doesn't have to go against the Warriors in the NBA Finals. So when you look at what LeBron is doing, he's setting up shop for the future. When you look at all those other pieces, a lot of other teams, it's kind of like the Big Three. When you looked at the Big Three in his first year, there were retired players who were looking at that situation, seeing how they did in their first year. Second year, you have more players. Next year, you'll have more players coming in. To that point, when you look at the Lakers, it's the same scenario. You have a situation where people are watching LeBron and seeing what he and all those younger guys are doing, the mix of younger guys and older guys. I think people have the misconception that it's just a young team. That being said, there will be some people that will find Los Angeles competitive, So I think when you look at the long haul, LeBron is in a good situation because there's no pressure to get to the finals. Everybody's expecting that the Warriors will go to the finals. I mean, there was talk before the season started that the Rockets are still a viable option. Defensively, there are some things that have changed, but the Lakers are in a good position to recruit because you know what you're getting in the purple and gold.
How much does legacy play a part in this? Because we all know that, if we're talking just from a basketball standpoint in terms of free agents making decisions and changing teams, there's no other 2 athletes, I should say, actually in professional sports that receive more criticism than LeBron James and Kevin Durant. What, in your humble opinion, what is it going to say about these 2 guys if they were to join forces and compete for a title together? What does it say about their legacy? I'm still in the camp of a believer that LeBron James does care about getting the ultimate title of being called the greatest basketball player of all time. And I think in his mind, if he wins 2 or 3 more titles and comes anywhere closer to Michael Jordan than he already is, he's halfway there. I think that's going to, in his mind, solidify himself. What does that mean for a guy like Kevin Durant? Because obviously Kevin Durant is going to be a career that's going to, continue after LeBron James is done. Do you see Kevin Durant someone that's going to set up shop in LA and sort of bridge the gap between now and the next generation? How do you see things playing out?
Well, let me ask your first question about the legacy. I think that fans' perception of legacy and players' perception of legacy are 2 different things. I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. When I was in grad school at Hofstra University, I did an independent study on guys like Jeremy Tyler and guys like Brandon Jennings who bucked the system and found ways to get into the NBA without doing the one and done. Interviewed sneaker great or sneaker deal maker, kingmaker Sonny Vaccaro, and he said to me, Brandon, players like Charles Barkley, players like Patrick Ewing, players like John Stockton, and almost Kevin Garnett, as well as Karl Malone, all were loyal to one team and didn't have anything to show for it. He said to me, and this was in 2010, he said, the next generation of players that come are going to be as loyal. So he said, you look at the John Walls, you look at the Brandon Jennings, you look at all these guys that were coming in next, the Derrick Roses, etc. They are looking at brand and they're looking at championships, and the money is not as much of a part of it as people think. To that point, when you look at Kevin Durant, he made a power move based upon what he saw. He went to the Warriors because it allowed him to preserve his legs, preserve his career, and to get other opportunities in Northern California. When you look at LeBron, when he left Cleveland the first time, he went to Miami. There's no sales tax. You know, he was able to build with his friends and to win championships. All that wear and tear on your body for what? To kind of paraphrase Chris Brown, these teams ain't loyal. You know, when you look at a situation where LeBron's decided what he's doing for what's best for his family, he's in control of his destiny. The World Series is going on right now. You guys are Red Sox guys, I'm sure. Kurt Flood, he was a guy who was able to dictate his free agency based upon making decisions for him. I think people criticize Kevin Durant and LeBron James for making moves that are best for them. I also think that LeBron James gave up that whole chasing Jordan's legacy a long time ago. Because, number one, LeBron is not Michael Jordan. Number two, LeBron plays more like Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson than he ever did Michael Jordan.
That's true.
And three, I know for me, Dr. J gave the baton to Michael Jordan as this innovative player, right? My opinion, Michael Jordan gave the baton to Tim Duncan, but he's a big man. There was this gap. Was it Kobe? Was it Iverson? Was it this person? LeBron James is this generation's Michael Jordan because he did it his way in a way Michael could have never done it. Number one, no, he didn't win 6 championships, but he's been socially conscious. He's built schools. But also, Michael made it possible for someone like LeBron or Kobe or even Allen Iverson or Derrick Rose to have the sneaker contracts that they did. I think oftentimes when we make comparisons, because that's what makes people comfortable, they're not clear-cut comparisons. LeBron is LeBron. Michael is Michael. Magic is Magic, and Dr. J is Dr. J. So I don't think that those players look at legacies as much as they think. Like, I don't think they go to bed at night and say, hey, dang, if I go here, what are the fans going to think? Because the fans don't pay the bills. So I think it's a little different. I don't think that they're consulting with fans when making their decisions. They're making decisions for what's best for them and their families.
So, yeah, I guess I get it. I mean, it's two sides to that fence, right? I mean, you look at, like you said, the Ewings, the Stocktons, the Malones, absolutely beloved figures in that city because they were so loyal. You know, now, I think ownership and where the bigwigs of the NBA and owners, team owners and franchises have no loyalty. But fans, I think, is where they do have the loyalty to the player. So, I don't know. I think it's two sides of the fence, but I get it. I get why a player wouldn't be loyal to a team, but there is always that connection between star player and fan base that I think, you know, the fans will never really, unless you do something crazy or start underperforming to the maximum. But if you're LeBron James, the fans are never going to turn on you if you're always there, you know? So
True. I think, but I'll add this. You know, you guys are in Boston, and I'll be as respectful as possible when I say this. LeBron going to Miami was made such a big thing, but in modern day times, in this past decade, Garnett, Allen, and Pierce made the super team possible.
That's true.
LeBron remixed it.
We look at it, we're sort of selfish from the Boston perspective. I mean, we were with Paul Pierce, right? Paul Pierce was our guy. We didn't want him to leave. We said bring talent in. So we look at it from that perspective.
Almost a decade, yeah.
If I'm a Minnesota Timberwolves fan and I'm watching these teams barely make the playoffs and Kevin Garnett's our only attraction, and then we get nothing for him. You get Al Jefferson and Ryan Gomes and a bunch of scrubs. And yeah, you got some beef there, but. I got one question for you, Scoops.
What's up?
I saw you had an interview with Kemba Walker. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is his contract year, right?
Yes.
Okay. How is he looking into this final year of his deal? Because to me, I think he's one of the most intriguing possible big, borderline stars that could be traded at the deadline this year and really help out a contender. So how is he looking into this season?
I mean, when I talked to him, he told me the playoffs was the goal. There were a lot of just little rumblings about how much he wanted to play for New York and the Knicks, and he kind of clarified that. Said, I've only played for one team for 7 years, so that's the only team I've ever known. Kim is from the Bronx. He's played in the New York metropolitan area from grade school, high school, even playing in Connecticut, right. On the New York side of Connecticut, not the Massachusetts side of Connecticut, or side, you know what I'm saying. So, him being in Charlotte, he's going to play his contract out, but he said, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it as far as what's going on, but let's not act like the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Charlotte Hornets were not discussing some sort of trade during the draft. He's a guy that's intriguing. I just think that he needs some guys around him, and what you're seeing earlier in the season is he's putting up buckets, and one of the reasons why he's doing so well is that internally, the Charlotte Hornets made a change. they hired Jay Hernandez as an assistant coach. And, for those who are familiar with Jay Hernandez played at Hofstra University under Jay Wright when Jay Wright was a head coach there, played with Speedy Claxton and some of those guys. And Jay Wright was actually training Kemba when he was going through his draft program. So he's comfortable with Jay. They hired him as an assistant coach. He's been telling me about all the different things that they worked on over the summer, counters, spin moves to the basket, and things of that sort. But he's definitely going into the season motivated, and it's because he's going into a situation where there's more pressure around him, and he's around stuff that's familiar.
All right, so let me put you on the spot. Total opinion. I know you had a conversation with him, but I know this isn't facts or anything. Does he get traded before the trade deadline this year?
It's possible. I mean, you look at the situation, in the Jimmy Butler situation, for example. If I'm Minnesota, you want to get something for that player who could potentially leave, and they don't just walk. Everybody doesn't get lucky like when LeBron went to Miami, and that was really a sign and trade formality. Some people could just leave. You look at Carmelo Anthony in 2011. Denver had to get something for him because the Nets were holding the gun to the Knicks had to do something, and the Knicks pretty much traded the whole house. That didn't necessarily work out for them the way that they thought that it would. To the case of Kemba Walker, if I'm Charlotte, I want to get something for him, and I don't want him to just walk.
That's the biggest piece of the NBA that could decide. Like if he goes to a Western Conference contender, I'm just picturing him in a Spurs uniform for some reason. Like put him on the Spurs next to DeMar DeRozan in that system. I think then that shakes up everything in the Western Conference. But we'll see.
Well, he's definitely waiting to compete.
You know what?
Wouldn't surprise me.
When I look at that Hornets situation, and I look at the Portland Trailblazers situation, and I look at the Washington Wizards, I'm pulling for all three of their point guards. In a day and age where everybody's pulling for Steph, everybody's pulling for Kyrie, which is a good thing. I know Kyrie and have a good relationship with him. It's good to see guys who are grinding be in a good situation when they can win. I think for Charlotte, one of the things that I talked to Kemba about was, why do you think people aren't paying much attention to the Hornets? He said, because we haven't done anything. You look at the Sixers, you look at the Celtics, they've improved, whether it's through the draft, whether it's through signing, etc. He said, so we have something to prove this year that's on our onus to prove something. And you look at somebody like Dwight Howard, comparatively, who played for the Hornets last season and now is a member of the Washington Wizards. He has something to prove as well as John Wall in the NBA's Eastern Conference. John Wall's been balling out of control. And then you look at Damian Lillard, that game last week against the Lakers. He came ready to perform. And so you look at the status quo of just, the Warriors, whatever team LeBron is playing for, et cetera, kind of give some other guys some opportunity to shine because, I just think that it's not always fair in the distribution of talent. It's so great, but, you always having the same couple teams. It's good to see somebody else shine for a change.
All right, he is Brandon Scoop B. Robinson of the Scoop B Radio and Basketball Society podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Scoop B. And also he's a writer for basketballsociety.com. That's basketballsociety.com. He's been seen on CNN, MSNBC, and now the Causeway Street podcast.
Hey,
well, at least you heard him on here, right? Hey, that was great stuff, Brandon. We'll have to get you back on here soon, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
An honor, guys, and good luck to the Red Sox.
Go Sox. Telling you, man, that Kemba Walker, I'm big on him this year.
Yeah, see, that was a conversation we could have had. We could have kept going for like another half hour with that dude.
I know, man.
That was good stuff.
I like that dude. Basketball Society, man. I gotta be a part of the Basketball Society, man. That's a sick fucking name for us.
Some say you are, Sean. You are part of Basketball
I am?
Society. Yeah, man.
Aw, thanks guys who say that.
All right, let's wrap this show up. Let's look ahead. Dutra, what do you got?
Oh yeah, it's time to look ahead. Okay, so, Celtics schedule does not get easier. Celtics looking down the barrel of a 500 season.
Tough
It's going to
times.
be a long season. Maybe we'll battle for the 8th seed, but we'll see. It does not get better.
How do we not see this coming, Sean? We got a 500 team now to talk about.
I'm telling you, it's worthless. Just blow it up. All right. Anyways, Celtics traveling to the wonderful city of Oklahoma City. I mean, this time of year, Oklahoma, you don't get much better than that, Sway.
Are you just saying that?
The fall
that was
in
two.
Oklahoma.
You dropped two wonderfuls in there. Is that true? Is it that good?
The fall in Oklahoma is to die for, okay?
You're just saying this. I don't believe
Okay.
you. Are you serious or are you just messing with me?
Trust me. If you do one thing in your life, you visit Oklahoma City at the end of October or beginning of November. It's the best, all right?
All right, fuck it. Let's go. Let's
All
go.
right.
I'm down.
All right. No, just kidding. It's probably a shithole right now. But it's always a shithole. It's fucking Oklahoma City. But is Russell Westbrook going to play? Is he back? What's going on with him?
Oh, he's back.
He's back?
He's back. They caught that L from Sacramento of all teams.
Ooh.
With with Westbrook.
With
But Westbrook had
Paul George.
But Westbrook balled out, so you know.
Hey, Steven Adams having a
It
good
worked
season. I mean, this is one of those games where both teams are coming into it needing a win, an early season win. And I think we're going to be having a little bit of a spat. I feel like Marcus Smart always balls out down there.
I was
love
just
watching
about
that.
to say that. Watch for Marcus Smart to
Goes back
drain
to
about
Oklahoma.
7 3-pointers and go off.
You want to find the best place to eat in Oklahoma City? You ask Marcus Smart. All right. Now, then we go back to back against Mr. 50 points himself, Blake Griffin and the Pistons, so home and home. Saturday. And then Tuesday, we got the Pistons back to back. Why do they do this?
I have no idea.
Why are home and homes a thing?
You would think that's something that's sort of like mid-season, you know?
Or just something that
But-
never happens at all. Spread this shit out.
I mean, it's a crazy schedule. The beginning of the season is like you got these weird back-to-backs, and then you got that road trip out of nowhere that's coming up, you know, so early on.
Don't look that far ahead.
Okay, my bad. Always stepping on toes every time it comes to looking.
You always stepping on toes. I'm gonna preemptively.
I can't help myself. I just look way ahead afterwards.
I'm gonna preemptively strike this. So wait. Let's real quick. Blake Griffin dropping 50. How is he looking this year? Is he gonna have an impact on the Eastern Conference?
I mean, he's
Are the
got the
Pistons-
green light, you know, he's just doing his thing. It's not in terms of like, oh, we gotta share the wealth or make sure that, you know, the wins start stacking up. At this point, it's just pretty much, look, just ball out. We'll figure out the rest later.
Are the Pistons gonna be somebody that, I don't know, Zach Peliquin and Mike Gorman jizz all over in the start of the season and then burn out again, or what's gonna happen with them? Is this gonna be a typical Piston season, or are they here to stay?
I think they're here to stay.
It's a different team than last year. It's a different team.
I think they're here to stay. Like we always talk about, the Western Conference is not that strong. You know, a lot of teams have a shot, and I think if Blake Griffin can keep this up, you know, why not? Especially you still got Andre Drummond in the mix in terms of like his defense, and he can go off and get you boards. And I don't know, it's an interesting team.
Drummond kills us every time.
Oh yeah,
20 every time.
he grabs 20 every time he plays the Celtics. So yeah.
And then the marquee matchups in the early part of the season. I mean, I guess, you know, we've had a bunch of marquee matchups actually so far. I mean, the Celtics have played 1, 2, 3. Well, this will be their fourth playoff team that they're playing against the Bucks on Thursday night. Bucks are undefeated at this point. They're projected to be 82-0, bro. On pace. Greek Freak's the next MVP.
You sound concerned, Sean. Is this the first time you're going to say that they're going to go under 500 on this looking ahead?
Well, I think that they're going to. I'm gonna give them 3-1.
3-1.
Nah, man, I'm playing 4-0, baby, 4-0. Here we go.
3-0, huh?
4-0, motherfucker.
4-0. Even with this team, 4-0, huh?
Yeah, I think you know, you bench Kyrie for a couple games, you're gonna go 4-0.
Wow.
Yep.
So 6-2 by the time this swing is done.
I think so.
All right.
Yep.
All right. I say they go 2-2.
Well, I think you're
2-2.
I think you're wrong.
I think they're going to drop 2. And I'm so mad that I said 3-0 last time because I knew that Toronto game was going to be the one they lose.
Don't get me started again on Toronto.
Orlando, I wasn't going to predict that.
Let me
that
start
came out of
again
nowhere.
on Toronto.